I'm sure at some point every one of us who are on the self-improvement thing have at a point, we've come to a phase when we find ourselves going back to our old habits, which isn't a good thing. And it can happen at the most unexpected time because you feel like you're going great, you're consistently doing all the good habits, you're working out, working on whatever you have to, you're consistent with everything, you're making progress, and all of a sudden, some random thing like you see a chocolate bar and you decide to have it, or you lock up the room and go onto a site on your laptop and watch something and do something you're not supposed to, and the one thing that you think may not have much of an impact suddenly lets you fall into this rut where you fall back to the previous version of yourself, and that can translate into a slump of poor habits when it could pretty much go on for weeks, maybe months. And honestly, this can happen to anyone, and if it hasn't happened to you yet, I'm telling you one thing: be prepared for it. It will happen. It's a normal thing. One thing I'll say is, one thing I kept telling myself when I kept perhaps falling back on my older habits time to time, I would keep reminding myself that this whole self-improvement thing, it's not a case of doing this for 2 months, getting results, and I'm done with it. It's a case of going on for life. It's something you improve over time for life. It's not, I'll do this for 5 months, I'll achieve whatever I want to, and then I'm done. No, that's not it. It's going on for life. You can always come back. The key thing is, previously when you were doing these things, you didn't really care about it. It wasn't a case of, oh, I must not do this bad habit. You just did it because you found it fun or you found it pleasurable. But now when you're doing it, you actually feel a bit guilty. I know you feel guilty. Before you or while you're doing that thing, you're thinking, should probably not be doing this. That little part of your brain is like, why are you doing this? You're not supposed to do this. Stop doing it. And I think as long as that piece of awareness is there that you're doing it and you shouldn't, I honestly think you'll be fine. And that's not to say you should continue doing it. But the worst part about doing this and falling back to the slump of poor habits is actually feeling bad about it. The worse you feel about it, the bad it actually is. If you can get into the mindset of accepting what has happened, trying to improve from that, and not make that mistake again, I think that's the best thing. Trust me, when you fall back into an old habit 1 or 2 times, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly back to your previous version of yourself. You are much more improved. Sure, you may have had a bit of a fall off, but you're still a new person. You're not that person anymore. What you're doing is wrong. The problem comes when you live like a degenerate and you don't care about anything. Sleeping on the couch, you don't take care of yourself, you don't care about anything. That's when the problem is. And when that's a problem, forget successful. You're gonna struggle living even an average life. Just make sure you're aware of whatever you're doing, and as long as you keep trying to get back in. And one thing I will say is, when you're coming back to your old habits, for example, let's say you've consistently been going to the gym for 2 months, every day you're pushing yourself to your absolute max, and then you go through a period of maybe a week or two, you've been on and off, you've been eating like garbage, you train, but then halfway through the workout you quit your workout because you don't feel like doing it. What I will say is, when you get back, don't suddenly being like, oh yes, I know, I'm pumped up, I'm motivated, I'm gonna go and bench press 500 whatever. No, don't do that. Just slowly work your way back into it. The mistake you made, now work yourself back to that level. And as long as you're aware of the mistakes you made and you keep putting that effort to improve, I genuinely think things will be fine. Again, I'm reminding you, the worst thing you can do at this point is to contemplate and feel bad about what you did. Make sure do not feel bad about what you did. Accept what you did is wrong and move on. The feeling of guilt is the worst a man can feel. So don't feel guilty. It happens, move on.